high and dry with the money that they had contributed, but wasn't necessarily getting something for what they had contributed. So what we've done is we've carved out our programming that we believe is going to be in person, and we've backloaded it to the second part of the year. So we will literally have a year's worth of in-person programming in 6 months. And that assumes that things get better. You know, when this budget was put together in late December, we felt robust about the vaccine and the implementation of that vaccine and where we were going with the virus. Today, I'm not as optimistic. I feel like we might be delayed a few months. I feel like the rollout of the vaccine has not been bungled, but as much as it's not as fast as we would like. And now there's talk of variants of the disease that might make the vaccine less effective. So, you know, as prudent planners, we need to take into account the fact that we might not have some of those events. And if we don't, we have a plan. For the events that we can't have in person and that make no sense for us to have virtually, we will have to cancel. And that's the reason we've carved them out of the IP sponsorship tiers. If we do have those events, well then fantastic. We'd love to program for those events. And I think that we will, even if it's a modified version of the events. You know, by June, July of this year, there will be a number of people in Orange County that have been inoculated. And will have, you know, an immunity to the virus and will be more amenable to going out and meeting with people and associating. And if that's the case, you know, we would intend to have a limited engagement of people who are safe for them to be around others. And again, you know, we're not in charge of this process. We're listening to our health advisors locally and federally, and, you know, we will make decisions in real time. But I think the point is that I wanted to get across is that we have contemplated this and built it into the industry partners policy as a safeguard in case. So let's bring up another point. You know, there are some industry partners that already have given us money from last year that have not realized the benefit of those dollars. We will absolutely transfer those dollars to your contribution this year. And in the event that there's a carryover, again, for whatever reason, we would continue to carry that amount over. We will not leave our industry partners high and dry. And if we have to return those monies, we will. So again, you know, that's our pledge to you, that we're not going to just take your money and run. And I don't mean that in a, you know, in the literal sense, but some of the other chapters have experienced some growing pains with their industry partners because of that phenomenon. So without further ado, let's kind of get into the policy. Let's talk a little bit about what those tiers look like and what those benefits are. And then let's talk a little bit about, you know, what we're doing for the first 6 months and for the last 6 months. So Olivia, before you put up the screen, you know, we have budgeted the first 6 months for virtual programming. Because we understand that, you know, COVID's still here, people aren't comfortable, and even for the ones that are, there are some optics that we need to be cognizant about. So for the virtual programming, you know, we also understand that it's not as desirable for vendors to have that kind of programming to associate with their potential managers. So what are we trying to do? Well, first, we want to increase our member engagement. I mean, that is our primary function here. So we've done that in a number of ways. First of all, the programming that we've selected is really geared towards our core mission of being a resource to property managers in Orange County. So we are returning to our roots of education and being a resource. And to that end, we're revamping our website. We're creating a portal for vendors. We're creating a portal for members. We're going to have webinars and white papers and how-to facts and all of these resources for managers to start, you know, doing their job better, to stop wondering about what COVID means to them and actually getting rubber meets the road case studies of what managers are doing and what managers are doing well. Furthermore, our programming is going to be centered around those topics using industry vendors' expertise, industry partner expertise, to assist us in helping our members be as prepared as they can for whatever lies ahead. So again, programming is our first step to getting member engagement and to driving those numbers of participants in those meetings up. Secondly, we're removing the barriers to entry. We are not charging our members for these events. Whereas we might have in the past charged $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 it's all free to our members, right? The intent here is you've paid your dues for the year. Why are we trying to get more money out of you? And again, that goes back to our budgeting philosophy of having all of our expenses and revenues up front so we can program effectively, make it free, and then provide that resource to our members. So again, there's no reason why members shouldn't sign up. It's free. It's good content, which will drive them to join us. And then finally, we're going to keep them engaged, which means in every virtual event, there are opportunities for members or for participants to win prizes, cash gift cards, whatever it may be. So, we feel that with that triple attack on our virtual programming, we really should get some traction. And we have had good traction without any of those additions to our programming offerings. So we're hoping that that gives you as industry partners some level of comfort I'm sorry, was that a question or I heard? Okay. So that's our virtual concept. And then, maybe this is a good time, Olivia, to put up the social calendar just quickly. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like. We haven't picked specific dates yet. That is happening actually right now up until our first meeting in February. But as you can see, the first part of the year is virtual. There's a heavy focus on IYP because we obviously believe in the future of our young professionals, and we recognize that we need to create a value proposition for them to want to come and join IREM and be part of our future, which is also important for you as industry partners. You already know us. There's no reason to keep associating with us. We want you to meet the next level and the next generation of property managers that are in our industry, that are in our market, so that you have the opportunity to bid to them and to work with them and to make money for your company as well. If you take a look at the calendar towards the second half of the year, and Olivia, you might need to scroll down, you will see that we have jam-packed all of our in-person signature events month after month following July. We think it's a very robust calendar that will keep people thinking about IREM and will allow us to get that traction that we've been looking for this year. We also, well, let me get to the industry partner policy, and then we'll get to some of the nuances of the programming itself. Olivia, do you want to put up the first page of the IP policy?
Let's see.
So just quickly, we're going to be sending out this policy to you right after the meeting, so you'll be able to read it, digest it, and really get familiar with it, as well as the social calendar, which is available. Olivia, is it on our website yet? Not yet, right? 'Cause we haven't given dates.
Yeah, it will be. We just made some additions this morning. We're still getting some dates.
Okay, will you send out the latest version with the industry partner policy? Okay.
Yep.
You can skip the first page. It's kind of a summary of what I talked a little bit about now, and with some other nuances, and you can read that to yourself. As far as the tiers go, let me explain the method to the madness. For the majority of our industry partners, the relationship is relatively simple. There's $1,000 fee, if you will, to becoming an industry partner, and that essentially gives you access to IREM Orange County, to our social calendar, to reaching out to our members and to joining our events. We've tried to keep that tier similar, so that if people during COVID or in general want to participate in the way that they have done in the past, they have that opportunity. And that's really what the bronze level is. But we've also created a return on the investment that is transparent. So rather than telling you, hey, join IREM, it's $1,000 and see what we have to offer, we're going to be very explicit with you. And it's actually the very next page, so you will see it in about a minute or two. And it will go into essentially tiers of access, recognition, and social media highlighting, right? Our intent is to make the members aware of who you are through exposure constantly over the year across our social media platforms, as well as our in-person events, even our virtual events, through acknowledgements and sponsorship advertising. So the bronze level, again, is a very basic level, but it gives you a lot of access and some exposure. The silver level is, typically for are the members, the industry partners that have found value in our program in the past that don't necessarily have the time to really integrate with us and spend a lot of time with us, but want to come to a couple of our events during the year, want to have some, carved out exposure, and want to have a little bit of a higher end relationship with IREM. The gold partner tier is really a tier that a lot of our vendors, industry partners who have spent a long time with us, are already kind of at that level in terms of their net spend for the year. If you look at a lot of our vendors that invest in IREM, and you tally up what they're spending for the year, most of those industry partners fall into that gold category. So the gold category is really where we see a lot of that involvement, access to, some of our larger events, more opportunities to be recognized. And then also, I'm not sure when we used to do this, but for at least as far as I know, for the first time, we're also going to be advertising in the OCBJ. So we've put together a marketing budget for that. We've secured 5 half-page ads in the OCBJ, and our intent is for gold partners and above, for gold and platinum, is to have actual highlights in the Orange County Business Journal. And then for one of those, the 5th ad will be a conglomeration of all of our industry partners. So there will be some exposure. And for those of you who've looked into that, you will know that a half-page ad in the Orange County Business Journal is, circa $3,000. So, we hope that even by itself shows that the value of the level of your involvement with IREM is almost equitable in terms of dollars and cents. And then, the last category is really a category of some of our industry partners that have really, partnered with IREM to not only help us in terms of our programming and financially being solvent, but to also get, that partnership level participation and recognition. The Platinum Partner, it encompasses some sponsorship opportunities for our signature events, and obviously that highlight with the advertising. And, we'll get into some of the value proposition, but, again, it's not our intention to provide that level of partnership for everybody. We are limiting it to 3 spots. It is a first come, first serve basis. And, we do believe that we have a lot of vendors that are interested in that. So again, it is a first come, first serve basis. And why 3? Because it does allow us to really take the time to carve out those IPs and thank them and highlight them. Any more than that, and we would start to dilute that highlighting, and then we felt that would take away from the level of sponsorship. So without further ado, that is the high level of the tiers and why we approach them at the levels that we did. But let's actually get into what those tiers look like. So if we can scroll down to the bronze tier. And this should look very familiar to all of the industry partners who have worked with us in the past, right? You would be featured on our website. You would be included in our directory. You would get access to our membership directory. You would have access to our membership area on our website, which has been revamped. You would be able to, sign up for our events. And then you would get social media recognition throughout the year. We would be able to do different highlighting of vendors for different reasons and shout outs and kudos. Obviously, they would be listing in our quarterly digital news magazine, The Source. We have, a robust VP of Public Relations who will be, handling our source production, and it'll be an opportunity for industry partners to submit content to the source, which would highlight your expertise in the industry, and of course, give you some recognition and name branding. Also, it would buy you 2 tickets to the industry partner recognition dinner that we'd be having in the 3rd quarter, which would be attended by the council, as well as access to all of our VPs, and we've highlighted them below. So again, it's a very basic level of involvement, but it does give you almost full access to the chapter. It's a very reasonable amount when you consider, what you would be getting for it in terms of the exposure to our membership base. And, again, it's not lost on us that there are entrepreneurs and small businesses where even $1,000 is a lot of money. I mean, it is for me. I have to pay $1,000 for my dues as well. So, we will be offering flexible payment terms for all of our tiers, recognizing that this is a difficult year. So if you have challenges financially, but you want to be part of IREM, it's as simple as sending an email to Olivia and starting that process, and we will work with you in terms that make sense for you. So that's the bronze partnership. Let's skip over to the next tier, which is our silver. And again, without going over all the bronze level, we've just put it as it included. No, it's not. And that's a good question. So I'm sorry not to interrupt, but one of our IPs just asked if we're capping the industry partner program to 100. And the answer is no. There's a lot of politics that go into that conversation, but I will share with you some of the highlights. We have an antitrust clause that we are all bound by in IREM as council members, and we also have a pledge that we take when we become CPMs or ARMs and we affiliate with IREM, where we talk about competitive pursuits of business and fair play and an even playing field. Unfortunately, one of the byproducts of having a cap and categories is we have created an antitrust environment where some industry partners are not able to be part of IREM because they're on a waiting list for 4, 5, 6, or 7 years. I'm surprised we haven't been sued. And I'm surprised headquarters hasn't, wrapped us and smacked our wrists for engaging in what some consider antitrust behavior. As part of my mission for IREM Orange County this year, I am redoing our strategic plan for our 1 year and 5 year. I'm redoing our bylaws, and I'm restructuring the council. It's a lot of work, but it needs to be done in light of the new realities that we face with COVID and where we're going with the industry as a whole. So that's the short version, but there's a larger conversation there, and I'm happy to have it at the end of the call when some people log off, and if you want to stay and have that discussion. But thank you for the question. So the silver partnership level is everything from the bronze, of course, and then a highlight on the company across all IREM social media platforms. And that would be a very in-depth dive of the company and what you're doing and who the players are. And that would be on all of our social media platforms at the same time. So for example, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as our webpage, we would spend all of that energy and effort highlighting your company on one day to give you a little bit of a boost. You also would get sponsorships for the broker panel, the IREM Young Professional Summer Mixer, and 2 tickets to those events. And then you would get a sponsorship form and logo recognition for all events that are not exclusively sponsored. Again, the idea here is that we are front loading our programming for the year, knowing what our revenue is. And all of those events will have an automatic sponsorship for everybody at this tier, right? So your logo will be up on, all of our solicitations for those events on those days of those events and any media that's physical if we have an in-person event. So it's really a great opportunity for you to be seen throughout the year, to have your logo up in lights for one day, and then also to be highlighted in our source per the previous tier. So there's a lot of opportunities to really be singled out and valued and appreciated. And then, of course, we have the gold tier, which is, really for vendors, like I said earlier, or industry partners who want to participate in almost every one of our events, right? So you would have all the recognition and benefits and access from the prior tiers, as well as more sponsorship events on some of our bigger signature events like the economic forecast, the broker panel, and then all the other that we have talked about on the bronze offering and the silver offering. The gold level is where we start with the OCBJ advertising. So you will have essentially 4 ads quarterly that your logo will be up in lights with all the other gold partners. And I know that we've removed our categories and limits, but it's not like suddenly we're going to have 200 vendors. In fact, we've really budgeted for a drop in our vendor participation this year simply because of COVID. We understand that, for some vendors, especially the smaller ones, this might not be the right value proposition anymore, which is again why we're trying to articulate in writing up front what that looks like so that you can get a good idea of whether or not you want to support and what level of support you'd like to give. And then, finally, we have the platinum tier, which essentially, a lot of the vendors that received this kind of access and acknowledgement in the past actually spent well over $10,000. So we actually believe that, this is a fairly valuable tier, even at its high price point. So you would get obviously all the benefits from all the other tiers, as well as the ability to essentially use our platform as your social media platform. So we do that in the form of quarterly marketing e-blasts, what we call a social media takeover. And then of course, sponsorships to, pretty much all of our non-signature events, as well as choices between keynote speakers and sponsorships for our signature events. Speaking opportunities at the IREM OC Awards and installation events. You may recall some of our large industry partners would have videos that they would submit. And then obviously, some access to seating at the president's table, as well as, seats at the president's table at the real estate conference, which is, a big hit year over year. So, it's not rocket science. Those are what the IP policies look like. That's what they cost, and that's what you get for them. Again, our intent here is to be very transparent and upfront about what those what the policy looks like, and of course to solicit, your feedback, because we recognize this is the first year we're rolling a policy like this out. And we want to make sure that we are taking you into consideration as we move forward. Look, everyone's inventing the wheel. This has never been done before. I can't remember a time where our associations have been this impacted by, an external force that has essentially caused us to not associate anymore. It's weird. But I think that we're pivoting and we're finding our footing, and I believe is a good place to start. So having said that, I think it's time to open it up to questions. I saw another question come up. I apologize I didn't answer it, but I will go look at the chat box in a second. For those
Sam,
of you,
did you want to just let everyone know we do
yes,
still have—
I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so because we carved out those additional sponsorship opportunities for some of those signature events, again, our intent is to have this all locked in the beginning of the year rather than figure out what we're doing during the year. Your commitment to these additional sponsorship opportunities does not mean you need to cut us a check today. We will not take payment for these opportunities until we are sure we are hosting those events. So, again, your commitment would be, we want this sponsorship slot, we're taking it, thank you very much. And of course we would reserve that for you. And then when we are reasonably sure that the event is taking place, we formed a committee to actually go out and create the event. That's when we would ask you for that financial payment. And then again, without going through the list, you can read it for yourself. These are all of the events that we are doing for the year. I will say the IYP Ducks game, that $2,000 isn't necessarily what we want from you. That's what we have figured the cost of that event would be based on taking 20 people to a baseball game. So if you as a vendor have access to a booth, a box, have complimentary tickets, that dollar value is not necessarily what you're giving us. It's something that we expect you to be contributing in order to host the event. And again, the idea behind that event is there will not be multiple industry partners at that event. It will be an opportunity for you as an industry partner to really spend some quality time with some of our members of IREM. I'm just quickly going through the list. Everything else seems pretty straightforward in terms of what we're doing. And again, if you look at the social calendar, you'll see that we've spaced it out thoughtfully. We've put the correct events in the months that are applicable to them that make sense. There will be snow on the mountain when we have our ski day. uh, and again, you know, we firmly believe that come June, July of this year, we will be associating in person again. And you know, I'm forecasting a party of epic proportions. And if I'm wrong, maybe this was the wrong time for me to leave Transwestern and start my own business. Again, so having said that, I think let's open it up to the group. If you can make sure that everyone's mute button is off. Let's just start with questions. It doesn't have to be formal. You know, we're family. Let's talk. What do you
There
guys
was
think?
one
Yes.
that came in already. It felt like the past couple of years, IREM was very focused on multifamily. What is the direction for 2021, and will you be recruiting commercial office members?
Yes, very good question. So, you know, it's something to have perspective, and having been with IREM for so long, I can tell you what the spirit and intent was behind some of the decisions that IREM has made, and how some of them have maybe not served us so well over the years. So circa 2014, the multifamily groups that were dealing with the associations, and I forget the name, forgive me, they had dissolved or disbanded. And Michael Brown was familiar with that, as he was in the apartment sector. So we decided that we would create a home for them, and welcome them into IREM, and start changing our awards and recognition to site level awards and to multifamily awards, which we had not had in the past. The problem is, I'm sorry? Oh, so unfortunately, you know, when we try to swing the pendulum and we have a volunteerism effect of only 1 year at a time with leaders, we don't always get that transference of intent and spirit of why we have done something. And I think what happened is that as multifamily leaders and entrepreneurs and employees of larger companies became involved with IREM, so too did they, you know, surround themselves with friends and people that they were familiar with and they could trust and had relationships with. And I think we saw a large shift of that pendulum a little bit further than we would have liked towards multifamily. So to that end, you know, I was very strategic with my incoming president, Myra. She's here. And Myra is focusing, you know, on her commercial real estate side of office and industrial. I'm also looking towards, you know, younger professionals to start leading this organization and contributing their ideas. You know, Myra is the perfect person to lead us into that future with a renewed strength and perspective that we have swung the pendulum too far into multifamily. And again, we're not here to swing the pendulum back in the other direction to the extreme. What we want to do is just, you know, center ourselves a little bit more and focus more on the core mission of IREM, and that is to educate and provide a resource to our property managers in the industry across all sectors. So, you know, it was also a function of funding. You know, in those years where we pushed towards multifamily, we just had a huge influx of membership from the multifamily sector. You know, I just think of Western National. That was the one company that was just throwing their employees at us and certifying them because they found true value in the program that we were offering, and we were really churning out stronger managers. So, you know, another part of that is the leadership, and I'll take responsibility as a leader of IREM, needs to spend their time, and we used to call it corporate outreach, spending time visiting with, you know, the larger commercial real estate companies in Orange County and providing a value proposition to them as to why their employees need to be spending time with us, and they need to be sending their employees to IREM events and to being educated at IREM. And, you know, it fell short. It fell short because you had all these leaders in the multifamily arena that didn't necessarily have relationships with commercial real estate leadership and principals. And you know, there's still a human element of leading a chapter, and people tended to stay comfortable with where they, you know, focus their energies. Well, I'm here to tell you that I am a commercial realtor. I focus on industrial and office. That's my bread and butter. All my contacts are in that sphere. I've surrounded my counsel with, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders in that industry. And I don't know if you're aware, but I also formed a presidential advisory board. And that consists of literally the majority of the principals in Orange County that employ all the property managers in the commercial sector. And the reason that they've joined as my personal advisor, advisory group, is because I am transforming IREM. I want to make sure that Sam's not transforming IREM, right? I'm only bringing what I've learned to the table, and I might then move that pendulum too far into the office and industrial sector. So I'm hoping to be tempered and to have my, paradigm, made bigger so that I can take into consideration all the different food groups that are out there. But it's not lost on us that we've strayed too far into multifamily. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that we need to kind of center and come back more to the middle. And we are absolutely doing that with the council that we put together, with the programming that's in place, and with the future that, I believe is coming in terms of Myra and the council that we've, assembled. Okay, so any other questions, any other thoughts about the IP policy? Something I didn't bring up. I probably have more answers in my head than I may have given out. So, this isn't a speak now, forever hold your peace kind of thing. I'm very accessible. You can call me anytime. I welcome you to attend our council meetings as an observer. We're very transparent. I will tell you, Paul, you will remember in 2014, I asked Paul to be our first sitting industry partner liaison on our council. And the purpose of that was to create transparency, to show the industry partners that we are not frivolous with the money that you give us, that we are thoughtful with how we spend it and with the programming that we provide and the care that we give our industry partners. So, that was the intent. Today, it's a little different, but I'd like to get us back to those roots where industry partners feel that we are transparent, that we do care, that we are focusing on our symbiotic relationship. I mean, I mentioned it at the beginning of this call. I was primarily successful as a property manager in this industry because of my vendors. Because I had such close relationships with people, that they would take bullets from me and they would, hide my mistakes and bury them into their work. And that, at 2 o'clock in the morning on a rainy night, my vendors would say, Sam, we're going to get somebody out there for you tonight. And those tenants then thanked me and made me look good. So, we want to provide an experience for industry partners where you've got access to managers like myself that, will be giving you business, that will help you advance your personal mission, but selfishly that you will provide the managers in our chapter with the benefit that was so, again, beneficial for me. That really, I mean, I'm looking at the people that are on this call, half of you have actually done work for me. So, I'm appreciative. Bless you, Gary. So go ahead. Any other questions, any other thoughts? Okay, this Russ. Is there also no longer cap on? I'm sorry, what is the finish of that sentence? Let me just go to the chat box. Yes, there are no caps at all. And again, the reason behind that is, we don't want to come across as being nepotistic and as and have a pay-to-play environment. So, we have to be very careful with how we solicit funds from industry partners and how we qualify industry partners. It's not our job to say which industry partners should be part of IREM or not. It should be closer to, are you licensed? Do you have a good standing? Are you referred by other managers who've worked with you and know that you're legit? And then it's up to you as a good business entrepreneur or employee to go out and meet managers and offer your services and then provide a good service at a reasonable price. That's what we can promise you. The minute we start promising you rights of first refusals, ability to, control more categories, we're creating an environment that is antitrust. And again, I will be spending a large part of my time and efforts this year changing that phenomenon. And then let's be honest, there's a selfish reason too. I need more support from industry partners. Without more support, You know, our industry partner support has waned over the years. We've gone from 100 to 90 to 80. And then when we look at the net spend of those industry partners, it's gone from 10,000 to 6,000 to 5,000. So, you know, we need help. We need the support now. If we don't have that support, we might not be around next year. And I certainly don't mean to say that to scare people, but you know, there's a reason Sam's here. I was not meant to be here. I've done my part at IREM. It's time for younger people with better ideas and the gumption to go out and do this, to take over. You know, I'm here as a temporary steward to get things up and running and ready for Myra to come in and just blaze a trail. So what I need to do this next year is to rally the support from not just industry partners, but also our membership base, not just from our members that are attending our events, but also our employers. You know, as a former employer, I now understand the employer value proposition. And I will tell you, if I had stayed at Transwestern and I had not taken over this mantle, I might not have supported any of my employees going to IREM events next year. And that was a mistake. It was a mistake for me to think that way. And I'm now happy that I've had this opportunity to really sit down, think about IREM, think about where it's going, divert some of my energy and efforts into hearing what vendors have had to say. You know, this policy didn't come up in a vacuum. There were weeks and weeks of debate and fighting and arguing and getting some feedback from some of our vendors on a smaller scale to understand if we were kind of going in the right direction. We also learned from some of our, again, sister chapters and sister associations in terms of what they did this year that didn't work right. And some of you are aware of it. I mean, you know, I know that you're part of LA. I know you're part of BOMA and IREM, and I know that you've probably seen some of the stuff that I'm saying. I have no need to disparage anybody. We just want to learn from those mistakes and not repeat them.
Cam, I have a question.
Yeah.
When are you expecting some money coming in from us industry?
Good questions, Dave. So let's talk about our revenue. We get revenue from two sources: our members and our industry partners. So historically, our member dues come in between late December, which is very rare, through February. But we have a reasonable expectation of what that looks like based on our historical numbers. As I had said earlier, IREM membership doesn't taper off permanently. It tapers and comes back depending on the economy. Again, once somebody has spent all the time, effort, and energy going through the education and the rigors of becoming a CPM or an ARM, that designation is theirs for life. They can only use it when they're in good standing with IREM in terms of paying their dues. So from year to year, we get people who don't pay their dues because they're trying to save some money, and they'll keep using their CPM or ARM designation until someone says something and they get slapped on the wrist, and then they renew their dues and they keep going. It happens. Industry partners was a different experience. You know, we got money throughout the year, all the way through the year. And again, it's very hard to create programming and to commit resources. You see an industry partner event, we see, contracts that need to be signed with hotels, deposits that need to be administered, committees that need to be formed. So it's hard for us to operate when we don't know how much money we have. And in the past, where we've had, arguably years of operating expenses in our bank, it didn't really matter what money we got through the year because we were dipping into our resources that we already had. Well, unfortunately, we don't have those resources anymore. We don't, and I'm not afraid to admit it. It's just a function of where we're at. IREM doesn't sell a product. We don't do well in bad times. It doesn't happen for us. So we are leaning a little bit more on our industry partners. And how are we, one second, Gary, how are we doing that? We're doing it because we're asking you to pay upfront. We don't feel like we're asking you to pay more than what you have in past years. We've tapered that accordingly so you can feel comfortable with your level of involvement like you have in the past. But we are asking you to commit to those funds now so that we know what we have so we can put on the programming. So it's kind of a chicken before the egg kind of conversation. And it's a good question, Dave. So we have to put our budget into IREM HQ by the end of December. And that's a foolish thing because we don't know what our revenue is. So to be frank, I don't really care what IREM HQ wants from me. My goal right now is to take care of IREM Orange County. So my intent is to spend the next month you know, viewing the funds that come in from both membership and from the industry partners to solidify our budget in terms of our programming for the year, and then to send the budget to HQ and say, this is our budget. You know, we don't care about deadlines. This is the numbers that you should be using right now. And, you know, I believe that based on the projections that I've put together, you know, we will be able to affect everything that we want. So, okay, Gary, I know you wanted to say something, and I think Teresa, you're next. Go ahead, Gary.
I had two items. One is
Yes.
you are selling something. You're selling the membership. You're selling the
Yes.
access. You're selling the IREM members. Just like many of us sell services, it's not necessarily a widget or something tangible, but you are providing a service.
That is true, Gary. Yes, I agree with you. I was trying to differentiate what we're selling versus the traditional widget.
Okay. Then the other was regarding volunteers. Obviously, with the distance, I don't want to say distance learning, but distance volunteering. How does IREM want us to participate? What do you, in addition to our checkbooks, what else do you want from the service?
Yeah, very, very good question, Gary, and it's arguably more important, right? So we do have a volunteer sign-up form, and we have specific items that we're looking for volunteers. It is part of your industry partner package that you will be receiving now. In fact, Olivia, not to give you multitasking, but you're clear to send it whenever you're ready. So there it is. Thank you very much. So, you know, we want volunteers for these committees, please. And we also invite you to join our actual council meetings as an observer. And there will be opportunities to participate your thoughts as well as your volunteerism in those meetings. And, you know, that's about as much as I'll say on that right now. But yes, your support is desperately needed, and we want your involvement, and we look forward to it. Teresa, did you have something to say, or was that you just highlighting? She's still there?
No, Sam T's got a question that I was asked through the chat room. I think that's relevant as well.
Yeah, there's a few in there. There's one before T's also. There's one that says, will there be a change for the vendors that had membership under the multi-tiered membership?
Yeah, so in the past, you were asked to spend $3,000 in order to have a multi-tier membership. Well, again, it doesn't matter anymore. I would then, you know, I would point you to the silver level of the industry partner policy. I think that would give you the access that you were looking for, plus.
Perfect. And then there's one more question that says, if you're not able to be a platinum sponsor this year, but would like to do so the following year, how would that work if there's already 3 committed? Would it be first right of refusal?
Yeah, okay, so again, good question. We can't honor the right of first refusal. And the idea behind that is the antitrust. You know, we want to give vendors an opportunity to be highlighted, to have their turn in the spotlight, but it is first come, first serve. So somebody who is savvy and quick to the draw might have it over multiple years. I also don't think that everyone's going to rush to the platinum policy. And if they do, then we would have to rethink, you know, what that value proposition looks like. Really, the platinum level was designed for the 2 or 3 or maybe 4 vendors in the past who really appreciate that relationship with IREM, and it's our way of giving them that access without an antitrust issue. I had another point to make about that and I lost it.
Okay, Sam, I would say, would you consider a lottery if there was, say, 6?
Yes, okay, that was it. Thank you, Paul. So how are we addressing it? We know a waiting list doesn't work, right? Because that kind of puts us back in that uncomfortable area of, you know, how many years do I have to wait before I could get that highlighted opportunity? Anytime, look, there's going to be more people signing up for that platinum position than there are positions available. There are also going to be more people signing up for the committees than there are spaces available. In any situation where there are more people who want something than we have to give, it will be a lottery basis. And we will do it, you know, live at our council meeting so that it's transparent and it is random. We want to be fair with everybody, and we want to give everybody an opportunity to have their turn. And the best way to do it is to be random.
Hey, Sam, so then with that, instead of first come, first serve, when it comes to 3 people coming in or opting in, is to maybe put a due date on not only registration, but payment? And then the
So,
lottery?
so actually that, Paul, I didn't bring up the devil in the details, but that is the commitment. When we get a
Okay.
check, that's how we know that you're number one or two or three. And again, I'm not trying to, oh, send us the check now, you lose your spot, but that's the most fairest way to do it. Otherwise everyone's going to just say, oh yeah, well, put us up for it. It doesn't work for us. We need to know, we need a commitment from you, and we'll give you our commitment now. So that's really the key there, Paul.
So Sam, if you get a check after you've already gotten other checks, then are you guys just going to return that check or tear it up?
Yeah,
Like,
so the way that it's really going to happen, Katie, is people are going to fill out that application. They're going to put their credit card number down or whatever it is, and then they're going to fax it to us. Once we've got that, we'll run the credit card, and that pretty much takes care of it. Then we'll notify that vendor. I'll be honest with you. I already know we're going to exceed that cap, so we are probably going to just have a drawing in February at our council meeting. I mean, I'm seeing the chat box coming up, and it's like, well, we already got 3 people who've asked, so I know we're there. Look, I'd love to make 3-5, right? It means more money for us, but that's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to be consistent, be upfront, be transparent, and then let it go. I remembered what I lost. It would be unwise of IREM Orange County or even me to promise something for future years. Every president has the sole discretion to run the chapter the way they see fit. So for me to say, this is my policy this year, you're going to be given a first come, first serve on a something, right? You then sign up with that expectation, and then the next president, Myra, changes it, right? That's not fair to you. It's also not fair to Myra for me to impede her ability to do what she needs to do on her term. So I can't promise you anything past my year, right? I'm trying to lay out my vision for what I'm doing to IREM this year, why I think my actions are going to make IREM the place to be in terms of associations, and then what that commitment looks like from industry partners, and how our relationship will be governed during that year. That's about as good as I can do. I hope sincerely that Myra will take the best of what I've done and the most successful programs this year and run with it. And things that didn't work out or caused friction or created an environment that wasn't fair and competitive, to change it, right? We must not be afraid of change. Change is coming, whether we like it or not. So what are we going to do about it that I think is important? Teresa, I think I see you back. Hi. No? Okay. Any other questions that I missed, Olivia?
I saw Nicole had her hand up for a bit. Nicole, do you still have a question?
Nicole, I don't see Nicole.
Yeah, I do have a
Nicole,
question.
hi.
Hi. My camera's not working right, sorry.
No, it's good.
My question in regards to, because I know there's only allocated certain amounts of spots per, like paving, okay? Like certain amount of spots, but I know there's, okay. Because I also wondered, I knew we were working towards the direction of people who did take up these spots would also have to participate within the organization,
That's
attending, sponsoring.
That's right. So again, spirit behind the rationale, the reason we did that and we implemented that concept during that 1 year was we had a lot of vendors who were buying multi-categories to box out their competitors, and then weren't doing anything at IREM. In other words, they were spending $3,000 to stop their competitor from doing the Lord's work, right? That's not fair. I'm sorry, it's not. So that was the intent behind the policy. The problem is the policy has been subverted. I'm having the same problem with my HOA, and I had to become the president of my HOA to fix it. But to make a change in the front of my house, I have to have the design committee approve it, right? But who is the design committee? There isn't one. It's just the members of the board. And then what are the criteria the design committee is using to approve whether I should have grass or a tree, right? There are no criteria in place for that design committee. So I'm laughing at the idiocy of my council, of my HOA, trying to tell me what to do with my land that they don't even have a policy for. Same thing goes for IREM. We are saying, we're going to vet these categories, but who's doing the vetting, Nicole? A VP of industry partners? Well, who made that person God, right? And then there's nepotistic relationships, and then there's there's companies that look. I don't want to get into the politics of it. It's a place for friction. It's not fair, and it's much easier to just say, look, let's level the playing field. If you have a good company with a good product and good people, you're going to be very successful at IREM. You don't need to cheat or box out your competitors in order to win business. That is the definition of antitrust.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you for asking. Anything else? No, but again, this is important, right? This is giving you color as to how I'm thinking. Monica, I think you're on mute. Still on mute.
Sam, it's Ellen. Can you hear me?
Oh, Ellen, hi. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I just wanted to say I love what you're talking about today.
Okay.
I love the transparency. I love revamping the program. I think IREM did a heck of a job last year, given the circumstances. And it's kind of like when you have your first child, there's no instruction manual, but there was no instruction manual for COVID either. And I thought the virtual events and the different things that the board did were really marvelous. And I mean, it wasn't the kind of year we didn't get to have the conference. We didn't do all the brouhaha and stuff, but we did stay afloat. And so thank you to the old board and to the director and everything for a good job.
Absolutely. A lot of kudos go to Olivia and Stephanie. On the call. Thank you very much
and then the
for
transparency and the way you're setting it up this year. Frankly, there's some of us that have been around a long time that do the same things every year and stuff, but you're right. We shouldn't just be carved in stone just because we've been around a long time. You know, there should be openings for other people in each of our industries. And there's a part of me going, wait a minute, I've been here for 20 years. And then there's another part of me going, and it needs to be a level playing field. I love that. So thank you.
I really appreciate the sentiment, Ellen. I recognize that not everybody will feel the way you feel, and you know, for what it's worth, this is, you know, it's like gosh, now I'm letting on that I have 2 young daughters. It's Frozen 2, right? When you don't know what to do next, do the next right thing, right? I don't know what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. None of us do. You know, for all we know, the variant of the virus could nullify our vaccine. We could be in lockdown for the remainder of the year. COVID-2 could show up. You know, another. I mean, look, we almost lost the Capitol building last night. You know, you never know what's going to happen. So the next right thing is to just double down on our relationship with our industry partners. You know, transparently recognize that we need you more than ever, and you know, to put together a policy that we, from the bottom of our hearts, believe is a better value proposition to you than it has been in previous years. And that's the best that we can do. And I hope it works. And if it doesn't, I'm counting on Myra to fix it.
Hey, Sam, mind fart. You think, is there any benefit or a way to maybe recognize years of membership for industry partners? As a way of separating out
that's fantastic.
Who's been involved for a longer time? So some new member to IREM evaluating the industry partners could say, hey, this guy's been supporting my.
Yeah, is that something we can put on name badges or something?
I agree. I think what a great idea. Olivia, write this down. I think it's a fantastic idea. You know, we recognize our presidents and their involvement and how long they've been involved. We recognize some of our industry sponsors over the past. I think it's a fantastic way to differentiate our industry partners that have been here for a long time. And if that means, you know, putting it up in lights about, you know, the different levels of engagement, you know, the acknowledgement and thanks that we should be giving. There are a lot of ways that we can do that, and I want to explore that further. So the answer is a resounding yes. Thank you for bringing it up. We'll absolutely do that. And it'll come in all forms, name badges, you know, again, whatever recognition, what masks that show your years.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. What else? Anything I missed? Any other ideas worth noting?
Does that mean that Olivia is going to order IREM masks for all of us? Just checking.
I think that would be awesome. We should have that as part of as part of our tchotchke giveaways.
Yeah,
If-
make it part of the sponsorship. For $10, you get 2 masks.
There you go.
Their prices have come down, haven't they?
They sure have.
I have a comment about IYP.
Mhm.
So, you know, when you're hiring people, you can't ask them how old they are.
Yes.
So can I join IYP because you can't ask how old I am? Because I'd way rather be younger.
So I hate to tell you this, Jill, but I'm not your employer, so I actually can't ask how old you are. But here's what I'll say about IYP.
29?
Yeah, perfect. So I was thinking 26, but you know, I'll give it to you. So look, I'm not a stickler for you know, age restrictions on IYP. I can tell you that the intent is to provide a place for. Look, okay, let me give more color. When I started at IREM, it was a very intimidating place. Okay, why? Because a lot of vendors had been working with some of the members for so many years. They were hugs and kisses and first name basis, and you know, and over the years, I look at the people on this call. I have that relationship with you, but it didn't just happen overnight. It was very intimidating, even for someone like me who's not shy and extremely extroverted. I would walk in the room and be like, now what? You know, I don't know what to do with my hands, and I would sit at the table and I feel very uncomfortable. So, you know, I believe that IYP is a great place to celebrate these, you know, younger professionals that are taking the leap, if you will, to going through that journey. You know, today more than ever, that journey isn't as important. You know, when you look at, you know, all the resources that are out there, and everything is online, and everything is self-help, and people are now lauded for their ability to do things on their own, there's less of a proposition for people to associate. I'm old school now. I can't believe I'm even saying that. But I happen to believe there's even more of a reason to associate. This is exactly why we need associations. But that's not my opinion that counts. So you know, two things. One, I've always believed that IYP is our future. I've seen it in my, I don't work at Transwestern anymore, but when I worked at Transwestern, I saw that in my own organization, that I needed to start, you know, giving these people leadership roles and promoting them from admins to property managers, because if I didn't, I was just going to lose them to my competitors, and all those good ideas and fantastic training would just be lost. Now that same effect is here. You know, if we don't highlight and laud and give our younger generation positions of leadership, we will lose their interest. There are way too many competing forces out there now that, you know, without them, there goes our dues, there goes our volunteerism, there goes our ideas. So there needs to be a renewed focus on IYP. And then secondarily, you know, IYP, in my opinion, was our shining star last year. The events were robust. Again, it's no secret that Myra is now my incoming president. She demonstrated leadership. She, you know, when the going got tough, Myra got going, and that is what I need. That's what I see her as our future for IREM and for any other job that she takes in whatever business she's in. We need to double down on that. So between the successes of IYP that I saw firsthand and the engagement that we got from younger members of our industry, to my true belief of the future, you know, we've invested a quarter of our budget, of our operating budget, towards IYP specifically. You know, we want our industry partners to specifically and interact with those younger members and start getting those relationships. Again, selfishly, so that they can start bidding out to a new level of property managers, but also so that those property managers can have their turn to develop that Rolodex of vendors that can make them look good and that they can use to employ on their properties. I mean, that is the biggest gift that IREM has given me, is a Rolodex that is unsurpassed. I mean, it doesn't matter what I'm doing to a property. I know 2 or 3 people that will, you know, give blood for me to go and do that job, not just for the money, but also because it's, you know, it's their market, it's their peeps, it's their relationship. So I'm very happy, you know, with that direction. And then again, to bring it all home, Jill, you know, the IYP is really for the members, right? I want you to interact with my young members. That's exactly what the intent is. I want them to have that feeling that they are important, that they have that efficacy, that they have that outlet to get stuff done.
Yeah, just to make sure, Sam, what you're saying is that the young at heart are invited to sponsor and attend with the 35 and younger membership.
That's right.
There you go.
I mean, selfishly, I'd love to hang out with the IYP. I feel like a rock star.
Sam, if I could piggyback on that idea, the main message that I would drive home is that not only when you started your journey in IREM, not only did you feel somewhat intimidated, that's the exact feeling that they have. So remember, when attending an IYP event, we look to everyone as not only mentors, we're intimidated by not only the years that you've been in the industry, the knowledge that you have, and a lot of them don't really know how to approach. So we're trying to find that mentorship role and somehow bring it so that it's easier to connect, because as much as I think that you want to join the IYP events, they really want to talk to you. They really want to pick your brains, and not just about matters that are directly dealing with their role, but just getting some advice on career growth, on how they would transition to a different role. So that's a huge area that we can explore, and that we are definitely willing to give as much support as we possibly can get.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you guys for just kind of expressing your opinions and all that, because I get that there are some events that are for, they're kind of exclusive, and I appreciate that. I have an event at my house. You have to be 55 to attend. I'm just kidding. But I feel like I have a lot to offer and to give. Like, I am a senior citizen. Like, I can go to Denny's, guys, and get
wisdom abound, Jill.
Hey, let's pull our AARP cards out and show off.
Oh God.
I still want to go to Denny's and get my senior discount, but
Yeah.
I tore mine up.
So anyway, no, to be serious though, I absolutely feel seasoned. I feel that I have 30 something years of corporate management and professional, and
Absolutely.
And besides that, you guys that are all, younger and IYP, you help me to not become a crusty old lady, because I'm super scared to be my grandma, so I just, right? So just know, like, anything.
We want your mentorship. We want to partner with you. We really want to have that conversation that you can ask Sam. As I'm transitioning to a new company, I called him and I asked him questions that I don't have anyone else to ask. And the fact that I have him as a resource and was able to talk to him not only about salary negotiation, but the industry in general and how I want my career to grow, that's invaluable. And we want to partner with
you. And I have an opinion, and so does Jill, and so do we all that have been in this business for so many years. And again, driving it all home, that's the value proposition. When somebody who's an IYP or young in the industry says, why join IREM? Why be part of it? It's not about just the vendors and the bidding, and it's about being around people who've been in Orange County doing this business for decades. To draw on that wisdom. I mean, look, it's the reason why I got a presidential advisory council, because even now, 20 years into my career, being an industry leader in Orange County, I still recognize the Mike Kents and the John Combs and all of these people have so much to teach me. Forget about the fact that Mike hired me, 15 years ago to be his property manager. It's just, this is the time where we can really focus on the value of IREM. When you take away all the noise, and when you take away all the events, and when you take away, just the political layers, what you end up with is a bunch of people with a lot of experience that are really good at what they do and are willing to share and want to impart their knowledge. And I mean, again, why associate? Why associate? This is why we do it. I mean, shoot, Dave, you remember Santa Barbara? We had this come to Jesus moment. Remember when we're sitting at the bar at 1 a.m, you know,
Yes,
and we realized the reason we come together, the relationship, the beauty of you know, of just each other's company over the years. It's so much. It gets me.
And we're all in the same boat. We're all just individuals. Okay?
That's right.
We all have our own personalities, and we try and blend and befriend people. And it's a great cause. So good organization to belong to.
I'll never forget that night, man. It changed my life.
And don't forget, guys, we also like to have fun.
Oh
Yes.
gosh. Let me
All the
tell you,
networking and everything. We like to have fun. I mean, I can't tell you how sad I was this year when we didn't get to have the conference. I mean, you know, setting up with Katie the night before and wheeling in the dollies and stealing dollies to wheel in the stuff and getting it set up in our tennis shoes and our sweats while drinking heavily. I mean, we're having a blast. That's part of the camaraderie. It's not just getting business from people. It's also the camaraderie. And, you know, I miss Katie. I miss Nicole. I miss Teresa. I mean,
everybody.
You know, we have fun at these things.
I mean, look, you know, Ellen, to speak to that point, you know, if my vision comes to fruition, we are going to have such a party come July. We are going to spend a good 5 months doing an activity every 2 weeks. We're going to see each other. We're going to drink an extra glass. We're going to be a little bit louder. You know, I miss people. I miss hugging. I miss, you know, just being around others and the energy that comes with that. You know, so, you know, I think we've set this up for success. You know, if things come to fruition the way we believe it will come July, you know, we just move into go mode. Exactly. You know, with conferences and forecasts and dinners and award ceremonies. And, you know, I think we're really going to, you know, break that ice, and that's what everybody wants, that, you know, so we're really going to capitalize on just letting our hair down for those of us, you know, who still have it, and just having a really good time.
Well, maybe that summer mixer turns in from an IYP to a universal event for everybody.
I don't know. We'll have to talk to the VP of IYP and see if we can crash their party, or maybe we should just crash it anyways.
Maybe just crash it anyway, because like I say, that's one place where you can definitely feel intimidated being on the 55+ side when you see some of the games they play during that thing.
We'll all have masks, you guys. We'll all have masks, so no one will know that you're 55.
There you go. I could put a picture of my 18-year-old self in front of me.
That's right. That's right.
Right next to me with my 22-year-old in front of it, Paul.
There you go. That's right.
And by the way, I missed you at Christmas this year.
I just realized how I just totally outed myself today, right?
That's all good, Jill.
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of us right there with you, Jill. We just were quiet and listening to you.
Right. So there's one last thing I'd like to say.
Sure.
There's been this has been a really interesting time, right? And I think that when you get older and you're like more towards the end of your career, and you're trying to figure out like how do you exit, how do you land the plane, right? One of the things that I'd like to say to some of the young women or the women that are on this, that interactions and just seeing each other from across the room is like I want to be open always to everybody. I don't want anybody to be intimidated by me. I want to have a relationship with everybody. Competitors, there's enough work for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I want to be that person that people look back and they go, oh, you know what I learned from Jill Nugent? Just whatever pearls that I can leave. And I just want to say that because there's a few people on this, other vendors, that I just, I'm looking forward to building relationships with you, whether you're awesome. A competitor or whatever you are. I have a lot to offer personally and professionally. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, Jill, that's why we associate, right? That is literally the key to this, is that, you know, we have something to offer. Everybody does. And, you know, we would all be very wise to listen and learn. And I think we all make ourselves better and stronger by associating. And again, that's, that brings this whole industry partner policy home, right? That's what this is truly, truly, truly about. It's just an opportunity to grow together. I mean, IREM is plays such a large part in my life. It's crazy to think back. I mean, shoot, a lot of the people on this call, we were doing this 10 years ago. And some of them have been doing it for 10 years before me. So
Yeah, I remember, Sam, go big or go home.
that was our lunch, Ellen. That is
My God,
right.
I heard that from you. If I heard that from you once, I heard it from you 50 times. Go big or go home.
And that was at a time when, we needed to differentiate ourselves and go big. Now it's, show up, stay connected, keep it going. That's what this is about, is it's like leaning into the dip, right? You got to, I think we're all, as professionals, we're all very resilient. Regardless of what's going on outside, we've got a job to do. We've got money to make. We've got bills to pay. And we are stronger together at this time, more so than ever. Both property managers and industry partners. I couldn't think of a more important time for us to be in sync and aligned than ever, to be quite frank. I mean, I'm counting on all of you to help me through this year professionally. Forget about IREM. Okay, I think we're good.
Work, Sam.
What's up, Jeff?
We appreciate your hard work. It's great what you're doing.
Thank you, sir. It's an absolute pleasure.
Challenging time, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I've had the the opportunity, the experience, and the wisdom to be at this point at this time, and to give back and help one last time get us through a hard time. And I'm honored to be here. And again, I can't do it without everybody on this call. And I'm just very appreciative of your support, and both financially but also personally in my life. So thank you.
Yeah, right on. No, I'm looking forward to being a part of working with Jill on the IREM Old Professionals.
You know what? That's a great idea. We should have a discussion about an event with the old fogies.
You guys, we did this huge remodel, our house. We doubled the size of our house in 2019. And right after that, I had my knee replaced, and then COVID hit. And we are going to have a rager here.
I'm telling you, I feel the same way.
I swear to God, we're going to have a rager.
Jill, we did the same thing to my house. We put a big pool in the backyard. We're having the rager is at my house.
Sure. Okay, so Jill, you get first party. Jeff, you're second. Let's get this done.
Right on.
I mean, I'm still looking forward to Ellen's Christmas party.
Ellen,
which is not to be missed.
I think she's out.
Okay, it's all good. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for attending. If you want to call me and talk about anything, I am extremely available, and I'd love to hear from you. So don't be afraid.
Thank you.
Sam. Thanks for
Sam.
Thank you everybody. Take care. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.